I can't help but be racist. It's true.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
How can you not turn it up? And I don't give a fuck about being demonetized on this motherfucking thing. It's September 21st, best holiday in the world. You gotta play it, you gotta play it. I love Howard Stern. How does anybody not love Howard Stern? Happy September 21st. Welcome to Gavin Games. Good to see everybody. Listen, I absolutely, hello Blind One, good to see you as well. I absolutely don't give a fuck on this one about monetization. I was thinking about it and I says, look, yeah, you lose a little bit of money when you play a song like that, but on the day of all days, September 21st, what is that thing called? Just called September. I don't even know what it's about. I don't know if September 21st has some meaning other than just in the story of the song. It was a big deal for, I think his name's Maurice, whoever the fuck, Maurice somebody. But anyway, yeah, there you go. Happy September 21st. Hope you're well. Do you guys remember that guy who used to every September 21st make a YouTube video and it would be like he'd reveal it and every year it got bigger and bigger until he had like a marching band behind him? He just stopped doing them last year. He's like, I'm done. I do give a damn. She says, Grape King says Jaffe's rich. He doesn't give a damn. First off, I'm not rich. Second off, even if I was, I do give a damn because the way people who are financially comfortable get financially comfortable is they give a damn. You know, I know it's kind of, we're not going to talk finances here, but I want to say this. You know that book that was all the rage 20 years ago, Rich Dad, Poor Dad or whatever? The one thing he said that always stuck with me was where he's like, the people in your life that actually have wealth, you probably wouldn't know it. I mean, some if they're super duper fuck you money rich, you'll know it. But most people who are able to sort of save up and invest and whatnot, you know, I drive a 2003 Toyota Corolla. Could I buy a new car? I could. But that would be, I don't know, anywhere from $14,000 to $55,000. It's not working for me somewhere else. So, that's all I'm saying. The nicest cars were the cheapest. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the guy's name, Robert Kiyosaki or something like that. All right, fellas, welcome to Gabbing Games. We got video games to talk about. We have things to get through. Listen, I mean, it's important that we deal with this, but I don't know.
Well, let me tell you this, Linda.
That is my favorite soundbite in the world. That and this one.
Oh, let me tell you something, honey. This is not Lily.
You ever see that little girl? Oh, she's great. Okay. All right. Here we go. What are we talking about today, fellas? I'm surprised you're not an electric car owner. I barely drive. I fill my car up on gas, Grape King, probably once every 4 weeks. I mean, I never go anywhere, except around town, but everything's close to me and I can walk to a lot of places. So, Jaffe, I'd like you to respond to my comment on your last Spider-Man video. Okay, remind me a little bit later. We will talk briefly about Spider-Man today, and if I catch your comment, shoot it over to me again or remind me, and I'll look it up. Absolutely. Okay, what are we talking about today, fellas? Let's get the news going. Oh, I do want to let you know, Monday, 4 o'clock. Members only. Everybody can watch, but only members can play. We're doing game night. We're doing Mortal Kombat 1 on PS5 because there is no crossplay on it. We're not going to play that for very long because there's no spectator mode, so it's basically people fight me. I can't talk. I'm sure they'll get to it, but it's not in there yet. We're doing Party Animals, of course, on Game Pass, and if people like Payday 3, we'll probably we'll do some Paydays. So that will be happening on Monday, 4 o'clock, members only. If you're considering a membership, now's a good time. But if you're not, whatever. But that's what's going on. Okay. I got to ask you a question. And I have some good Sony discussion in the chamber in terms of people always accusing me of being anti-Sony, which, whatever. This is not the stream for you if you're too stupid to realize I'm not anti-anything. But that said, though, I wanted to, I know some of you guys are real sensitive for some reason about making sure the, billion-dollar corporation is taken care of. So I got a nice Sony story in just a bit. And I may even be doing a video soon about the top 10 things I love on my PS5 because I'm so tired of people. It doesn't matter. But I got to start with this, and this just may be wrong. This may not be accurate at all. But this jiggered my thoughts. Congratulations on going gold, Insomniac Games. This is Naughty Dog sending a GIF, as a lot of these first-party PlayStation studios do, when their fellow studios have a big moment. And that's great. People like it. It's wonderful. It's kind. I'm sure sometimes it's more heartfelt and sometimes it's more PR, but it's always a nice thing to see. Nothing wrong with it. And you know what I always liked? I liked it when Phil Spencer at Xbox would, he would come out when God of War came out or Horizon came out or any kind of big Sony game. He would always congratulate the teams and say, hey, I'm excited for it. Good job, blah, blah, blah. And, it's all PR, and it's not like, I'm not like, isn't Phil Spencer the nicest guy? No, I'm not. I don't know the guy. It's PR, and whatever. But it was a little low class. I was like, let me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed it. If I did, I'll apologize. But I went to PlayStation. I didn't see anything from them when Starfield's their biggest game of the year. It's been in development forever. Nothing from Sony. Like, congrats on your achievement. Good luck. We can't wait to play it. Do they owe them that? No. And again, I could be wrong. Maybe someone did do that. Maybe it came directly from Jim Ryan and not the PlayStation account. I don't know. But nothing on the PlayStation account from the 1st to the 21st of September suggests they said anything. Way of the Lao says, why would they? Because I just told you why they would. Because Xbox does it. Why would they not do it? It's just a nice thing. Again, I'm not like acting like it's a big deal. It's hey, Spectre Bull, good to see you, buddy. It's not like, oh my God, the sky is falling. It's just after seeing Naughty Dog's tweet going out to Insomniac, it just, my thought was like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't see that. Oh, shut up, Stonerface, you fuck. But I did want to give you guys, you weirdo Sony people at this point who are just so obsessed with your stupid fucking little companies, I wanted to give you some good news. If you want to go work at Sony, you ever go to Glassdoor? Glassdoor is kind of the, it's kind of like Yelp, but for companies. You know what it is. Sony's pretty good. They got a 4 out of 5, I think. 84% of people who work there approve the CEO. 80%, 79% would say, hey, I recommend working here. The pros for this company: great for people without experience to get a head start and move up. Good benefits if you're a gamer, meaning you'll probably get like free games and PlayStations. PlayStation culture is great if you're into games. Good work-life balance, and the team is great. Workers, the cons are, this gets a little interesting. The cons are workers are assassins who have no qualms backstabbing you to gain favor with the Japanese management. That was 67 people agreed with that. Pay is low, low salary, it's hard to progress. You need to find a good team and manager. That's anywhere, but certainly, I guess if they're saying there are bad management and good management within Sony. And then this was really interesting to me. So if you are an Asian fella or lady, they rate Sony as a 4.1. If you're Hispanic or Latinx, 4.2. The black folks seem to do the best over there, 4.5 for the African Americans at the Sony. White people, not for you. It's not a company for you if you're a cracker. Remember, they used to call white people crackers. White people don't like it. Oh, they don't like it. It's a 3.9. If that was Metacritic, people would be saying it's a fucking failure. Because, when you extrapolate a 3.9 would be like a 79, right? So white people don't like Sony. I don't know, whatever, shut up. But overall, though, it's got a really good, real diverse and great reviews. Got a 4 out of 5. People like working with Jim Ryan. So there you go. There's some nice Sony stuff for you. Think about that. I think about you people. Even though the people out there that really seem to be obsessed with companies and not games, even though I find them obnoxious, I still think about them. I'm like, I need to do a little programming for those guys. So there you go. Let's talk about Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is out today, not Phantom Liberty. That's next week. But Cyberpunk, the big, massive 2.0 update is out. And I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but I will tell you people are loving it. People say it's excellent. It's the game they promised years ago. Whether or not you find that acceptable, given, what it took to get there and how they built it on the backs of maybe some dishonesty, that's your mileage will vary, but people love it. I'm excited for it. They did a 2.0 patch notes. People say if I haven't finished Cyberpunk. I'm going to start a brand new character. I'm probably going to play it over Thanksgiving. They say it's best if you finish Cyberpunk before you start Phantom Liberty, but I'm just going to give you a couple of ideas of what's in these of what's in the big 2.0 update that is now live over on PlayStation as well as PC and Xbox, I would assume. Obviously, the police are a lot better. It's weird to read this one because you're like, yeah, it sounds like they just do what Grand Theft Auto did, but at least it's working now, right? So the cops are more interesting. There's vehicle combat now. You can do fighting car to car. You can up your stats to get cars that ram really heavily. You can do melee combat from motorcycle to motorcycle. That is some wonderful, excellent upgrades right there. Combat's gotten better in terms of how the AI responds to you. Just a lot of things. Perks and skill, brand new skill tree. More levels, more things you can do as you level up. Lots more weapons, and they apparently feel a lot better. The traffic's better. A lot of the missions and balance have also gotten tuned and changed and improved. I mean, it's, even down to it says like new radio stations. You got 3 brand new radio stations, which doesn't mean anything in terms of like it's a good game or a bad game. It's just, it gives you a sense of the refresh that this is. And this is free. This is the 2.0 that you need to get before you even play Phantom Liberty. So I understand that it's annoying to some people that this is what they should have shipped with, but this is becoming the way of the world, because the audiences as much as, I mean, again, I don't think Cyberpunk's ever going to go this bad again with a launch, but because they got hurt stock-wise and financially. But for the most part, though, I think the biggest lesson from this is, put it out. You know, if people like it enough, we'll keep working on it, and eventually we'll have the game, and then we can charge them for DLC. I mean, that's pretty much the lesson. But anyway, there you go. Eric says they did a giant beta test with the world. If every company had that goodwill from players, we would get amazing games all the time. Yeah, I mean, well, sure. But I mean, it's not just, Eric, it's not just Cyberpunk, right? I mean, I think at least what Xbox is saying, they're going to do it with Starfield, Redfall. You know, these are games that are going to go for a long time, and they're going to just keep getting improved. So, you know, I'm good with that, you know, because I bought the game, but I wasn't one of the guys who bought it and was burnt because I played it and it was buggy as shit. But, you know, but there's a lot more. Check it out if you're interested. The patch notes are up everywhere. This is live now. You know what else went live today? It just doesn't stop. Separate Ways, the DLC. I have to assume, I haven't talked to Spaz in a while. I have to assume he's already got it and played it and finished it. You play as Ada Wong. I don't know how long it is. Probably 3 or 4 hours, like the one for the DLC for Village, I assume. But this is RE4 Separate Ways paid DLC. I thought it was free, but whatever. I don't know how much it is. $20, $19. But this is available today. If anybody's played it in the chat, let me know how it is. I assume it's great, like all the Capcom Resident Evil stuff is great. But this is out now as well. And then today again, Payday 3 is out as well. That just dropped, and people in the chat are saying that is pretty fucking good. Okay, RE Separate Ways is only $10, so that's pretty good. Anybody know how long it is? Have you guys played it? Payday 3 drops. That's on Game Pass. That'll be one of our game night games that we play on Monday. And obviously Liza P came out this week. I mean, it is, there's nothing clever about talking about how crazy it is right now. When it comes to releases, I think the really interesting part to all of this is going to be January, February, when we take a look and we get a sense of just how bad some of these publishers rolled the dice and how poorly they chose their release dates, because this is dumb. This is just, I mean, they had to have been looking at their calendars, and they had to have said, yeah, we could push it to February, but it's a bigger risk. I don't know. But my goodness gracious, I mean, look at this. September you think is bad, right? We had Starfield, The Crew. I don't think The Crew's going to do shit. The Crew's going to be, somebody was saying yesterday, they're going to pick The Crew up on Black Friday for like $12, because there's no fucking way that's going to do well. Warhaven just opened up. Witchfire just came out in early access. Liza P is doing well because it's on Game Pass. I played the demo. I loved it, but I probably won't. I don't want to play anything hard right now. I'm good. And I'm watching guys on the Discord talk about playing it, and it's just like, dude, they're struggling, and I'm like, I'm not in the mood for that right now. But I did think the demo was absolutely fantastic. But then you get into October. This is crazy. There's Assassin's Creed. I think that's going to take a big hit. There's a new Pikachu game for Nintendo fans. That's a big deal. Forza Motorsport, of course. Sonic Superstars looks great. Spider-Man, of course. Mario Wonder comes out the same goddamn cockadoodie day. City Skyline 2. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. I guess Switch is getting Dave the Diver, which is excellent. And then, of course, Alan Wake 2. November's... It starts to slow down a little bit in November. There's a couple of things. Obviously, Call of Duty and Super Mario RPG are the big ones. But I just don't understand how these guys at these companies right now, how do they really think? I mean, if you had to predict, I don't know what you would say. I would say Assassin's Creed's going to shit the bed. Alan Wake is probably going to shit the bed. And I'm looking forward to that very, very much. I think probably The Crew is going to shit the bed. which is going to really give Ubisoft a rough Christmas. Payday 3 is a rough one because it's on Game Pass and it does have a built-in audience already. But those, if I were working in this biz, those would be the three that I would be the most worried about. Brian Watkins says Alan Wake 2 should have released in late September or February. Awesome Tatum is saying, are you sure Alan Wake won't do well? It seems to have buzz. I think it looks excellent. I'm not saying it's not going to do well because it's not going to be awesome. I cannot wait for it. I just think, think about this. Resident Evil, if you go back to the Resident Evil page, the first Resident Evil 4 remake, which is one of the best games of the year, and will be on top 10 list all over by the end of the year. They're trumpeting that they've only sold 5 million copies. That's one of the best games of the year, the pinnacle of survival horror. And yeah, it's a remake, but 5 million is kind of a small number comparatively. I would have expected it to have sold more. So Alan Wake 2, I don't imagine is going to outsell RE4. So I don't know. These are my guesses though, but I'm very much looking forward to Alan Wake. We will have to see. Since we have already been demonetized because of the September song, which I do not regret. I'm going to show you something that dropped today that has a copyright song as well. Zeke says, should remakes be in the running for Game of the Year? Who cares? I don't mean disrespect your question. Game of the Year is such a stupid, meaningless thing that what does it matter, right? If you were really focused on Game of the Year being an authentic representation of the best game of that last 12 months, you would have so much more heavy lifting to do before you worried about remakes being up there. Because, what about the fact that should everybody who plays a game and votes have finished it? Should you be able to vote at all if you haven't played the game you're voting for? There's like 20 things that since I've been on those nominating panels, they haven't really gotten fixed. And I'm just like, no, I got issues with that stuff and in general. If Alan Wake does 500,000, says Tatum, I wonder if that's a success. No, I don't think so. I got to think it has a big budget. It's a success in that maybe they've made their money back, but I don't know what the game costs. But Jaffe isn't based on the company, so if it's a case by case for profits, 5 million for Capcom is not big, but to Alan Wake team it might be a big success, says Legends. Yeah, sure, but I'm saying, can they get to 5 million when you've got RE4, which is the king of the jungle, is that right? And beloved and preloaded with a fan base, and they could only get to 5 million. I don't know. But no, I'm hey man, I would love to see either Sony or Xbox do a day one, pay a bunch of money to Remedy and just say, hey, come on now. Let's get you on Game Pass or PS Plus Premium. That would keep me from unsubscribing to PS Plus Premium. You goddamn right. The Godslayer says, I believe Alan Wake 2 will fail because people won't enjoy playing as the girl. What's wrong with the girl? Like, as her, does she, I haven't watched a lot of it. I know that you have two characters you play, Alan Wake, who's kind of trapped in the novel, and her, who's like in real life a FBI agent or cop. Are her mechanics shitty? I saw her going up against she went into this kind of like fishing shop or a Quick Mart, and there was this monster that attacked, and I thought she was pretty cool. But you're not wrong when it comes to just women in general. I'm always surprised. Again, my mind is a very unique place, apparently. I'm always surprised by how many men will play male characters if they have an option to play women characters. I don't mean like in fighting games. I mean like where it doesn't make a difference to the gameplay. I just, because I'm like, I don't want to look at a dude all day long. And people say, oh yeah, Jaffe, but I like to pretend I'm that character. I'm like, okay, I don't play it that way. Like I just don't. But I get it, because you're not wrong. I remember when Resident Evil Remake 2 came out and Capcom released data on, did people play Claire or was it Leon? I forget who the characters. I know it was Claire. Chris Renfield, whatever. The vast majority of gamers pick the dude, and I immediately picked Claire because I was like, "Cause she's fucking hot, and I want to look at her all day long." So one more thing on Alan Wake, then we'll move on. Where did it go? Bookster says Alan Wake 2 had a 4-year dev cycle with a core team of 130 people. To me, that seems like a $50 million budget at least. Yeah, I don't know where they are. I don't know what the man month is, but it certainly needs to, make some ducats. Jaffe, that's really weird to say. Not going to lie, says Blackjack. What did I say that was weird? Be more specific, sir. I don't know what you're referring to. I understand it being digital only, talking about Alan Wake 2, but I wonder if there will be other companies that will be interested in making physical copies. I think, didn't Limited Run Games come out and say that when they announced it was going to be digital only, that they were like, hey, I would love to do that. We would love to make a physical copy of it. That's what I thought they said. Maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Tokyo Game Show is in full swing. I did not wake up at 2 a.m. to watch it last night. I didn't care that much. But I will tell you that a couple of interesting games have been announced. Blackjack says, in reference to your confusion at men playing males instead of females, Blackjack thinks that that's weird. I don't care. Maybe, again, I would say this, Blackjack. I would say it's unusual according to the stats, the data that I've seen. But, for example, I'm playing the shit out of Baldur's Gate right now. I fucking love it. But, I'm totally a hot chick with very little on. Why would I not be? You know what I saw last night? Totally tangent for a moment. I hope you don't mind. I saw that Jennifer Lawrence movie, No Hard Feelings, where she's paid by these parents to bring this guy out of his shell. He's very anxious and socially awkward before he goes to college. And there's a scene in this movie where they're skinny dipping in the ocean, and somebody steals her clothes, and then she gets out of the ocean, Jennifer Lawrence, totally naked, and beats the shit out of these people. And it's all full frontal nudity, which you rarely see in mainstream movies. And I looked it up because I'm like, was that a body double? That was not a body double. So props to Jennifer Lawrence. That was pretty cool. Ain't that pathetic? But fuck you. Don't say you're not interested. Fuck you. Hey, Jaffe says, Godslayer, off topic, but I heard Megan Fox's performance sucks in MK1. I haven't watched the story stuff. I've played that character, whatever, Natana or something, and I like it a great deal. I like playing that character. She's got some cool moves, but I haven't watched enough of her content other than her screeching and screaming, to judge her performance. Alex says, I saw that part of the movie, Jaffe. It was a funny movie when she has the kid in her labs jump. It's funny. It's not as good as Girl Next Door because they're kind of similar, but it is still pretty good. Whatever. It's good. Okay. Let's move on, though. So anyway, this is a game they dropped at Tokyo Game Show. It's Suda51's new game. I have not watched this trailer yet, so I figured we'd watch it together. I'll turn up the volume since there is a licensed song, but fuck it, we're going to get hit anyway. And after we watch it, let's talk about it, see if we dig it. I don't agree with the book thing, by the way. When I read a book, I identify with the main character as well, but I'm in the main character's head. But if I'm playing a game and I can choose, the main character is who I choose. So Tokyo Game Show is happening right now, all this weekend. All right, here we go.
CaptGeech is really here in this hotel?
Just nod and say, yes, I'd never lie to you.
Justine, you foolish girl. I warned you.
Welcome to Hotel Barcelona. How are you enjoying your stay so far?
Play ball! Look, servant, isn't this interesting?
Is that me?
Yes, a you from the past. That's a side effect from the loop.
Loop?
This place is trapped with some type of barrier that warps you back here whenever you die.
We don't specialize in sausages here. We specialize in sausages.
You can't trust this man. He's not the person you think he is.
A shark! That was a shark!
Rise and shine, Bernstein. Let the game begin.
Don't you know that hitchhiker is a derogatory term? And I will permit no manner of discrimination. I'll shut up all the bigots, even if I need to rip them limb from limb.
Change of despair! Ha!
Stay away from the lake. That campground's cursed. Got a death curse on it, yes sirree.
Okay. Well, first, let's be clear. I thought it was Suda's new game. It just says it was an original idea by him. So I don't know who this director is. Swery65. I don't know if you guys have heard of who that is. Do they do anime or whatever? But I don't like this trailer. The game may be great. Okay, so Jarvie Rock says Swery's games, he did Deadly Premonition. Okay, so there that could bode very, very well. Okay. But what I will say is there's nothing about this trailer. What's really interesting to me about this, just on first blush, I haven't thought about it. I just saw it for the first time with you guys. And the game may be great. No clue. Kind of a cool little map down here where it looks like it's only 5, because it's a rogue, I think. So you go in these order, but you can choose any of the hotel rooms where all the hotels filled with serial killers or something. So it's kind of like a rogue kind of meets Metroidvania or something. But so the game could be great. Who knows? But thematically, I think it's really fascinating. And we're going to talk about aging game directors a little bit later in the show. But it's weird because Suda51, and I know this isn't his baby as much as it is the other guys, but when he was kind of ruling the roost at a cult level, I mean, he's never been hyper successful commercially. He was the only guy out there just doing the weird spaghetti method of just throw it at the wall and see what sticks, and the very nature of some of it sticks and some of it doesn't is part of the charm. But the indie space is so filled with that now that all of this now feels like been there, done that. So what was kind of a great breath of fresh air maybe 12 years ago now just sort of feels like, it's an indie game trying to have a punk rock vibe, and they're putting all the little sayings in there and the crazy posters, and it just feels like it's trying so hard to be stylish, but it doesn't seem to have any of its own personality. That's my take after watching a fucking 2-minute trailer. It could be brilliant. It could be game of the year. It could be game of the generation. I'm just saying, for me, I'm not very interested in this after seeing that. I am interested. I heard they're doing a Shadows of the Dam remake, and I'm really interested in a Lollipop Chainsaw remake because I've never played it. I played it once on the show floor at E3, and that was it. Ace Attorney Trilogy, something else I haven't played. It's coming to Game Pass. They announced that Tokyo Game Show. So if you love the Ace or you're curious about it, you'll be able to play that on Game Pass next week. And then look at this. I know a lot of you guys love the Yakuza games. I played one recently and I liked it, but I just didn't have the patience, and I was so many other things to play that I didn't really spend much time with it beyond maybe a day, but I liked it. But their new game, Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, is also announced at Tokyo Game Show is going to be dropping day one on Game Pass. So if you're into that, give it a play. Does anybody know if this one is real-time combat, or is this going back to the RPG stuff they did recently? What's the... well, let's watch. Here he's fighting right now. It looks like this is real-time. It's the bouncer. There's a lot of people to fight. Okay, well, maybe I'll give this a try. I mean, I like turn-based, but for a game like this, it might be fun to just go beat the shit out of people. All right, cool. Anyway, that's coming out day one. When is this dropping? This is coming out for the people November 9th. So there's some more shit to play. God damn. Clay, thank you for the super chat, buddy, and the membership. He says, I never had much faith in Square the last decade aside from FF14. Rebirth looks okay, but I need to see it first. Remake was shit. I have not played any. I haven't played Rebirth, but I haven't played Remake either. But I thought people loved that game. I thought that was sort of the game people really loved. And the other thing they announced a bunch, but the other big thing that was announced, the big show, was just some new stuff for Exoprimal from Capcom. I'm not gonna. I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum. I'm not gonna get into it. All I can say is, if this games as a service thing is a bloodbath now. It is. I mean, this game. If you would have showed somebody this game at a certain point in time, they would have said, "Oh my fucking God, that's amazing." And now it came and went. I don't hear. I could be wrong, but I don't hear anybody talking about this game. I played it for about 4 hours total across a couple of days. Never had a desire to go back to it. You know, they're shutting down Evil Dead multiplayer games as service. It's just, you know, I wonder honestly if you are, because we know, you know, Sony announced that they're going to be spending a lot of money, and they are spending a lot of money on games as service. I wonder if some of it they're kind of going, all right, let's pull back. Let's take two of those and let's put those into something else that might be lucrative for us. Not, you know, let's do a Baldur's Gate. Let's get a game like that. Evil Dead is shutting. It's okay. Sorry, it's not shutting down, but they're done supporting it. It'll eventually shut down, of course. But yeah, you're right. You're right, Spectre Bull. It'll still be available to play, but it clearly was not doing the kind of business it needed to support continued or to fund continued support. So I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a game that came out today called, like, it's some kind of Rocket League basketball game with these little cartoony characters flying around on hoverboards, and I'm like, what? I mean, I just don't know. I just don't understand how people think this is going to give them their money back and then a profit. But Godslayer says, I can't wait for the games Sony Studios are cooking up. I hear you. What we've seen so far, I mean, we've only really seen two, right? We've seen Jade Raymond's, we've seen the most of, which I thought felt like a Ubisoft game. It felt very, like, cliche. And then we saw that thing called, was it Commodore or Concord or something, that not really sure what the fuck it is. Sousa says the First Descendant is the next DOA game. That Nexon showed two games at Keeley's last show. One was the First Descendant, and then there was another one, and both of them looked like generic slop. And I don't mean, I mean, I'm sure they're well produced and stuff, but I'm like, unless they're like, yeah, but Jaffe, you don't really understand, you know, the Asian market, which I don't. Fair. Totally fair. But from a Western standpoint, those fucking things are DOA. Absolutely. Spectre Bull says, Fair Games. What's fair? What's Fair Games? Concord. Oh, it's Fair Games Jade's game. And Helldivers 2 is what we know about right now. Right. Helldivers 2 was at the Sony show last week. You know, it looked fun. I definitely will play it. I mean, unless I got to buy it. Is it free? Is it day one on PS Plus? If it's not, I won't buy it. I mean, unless people are just raving about it. I can't imagine. How much is that game supposed to be? Because they gave it a date, right? It was like February. You know, and the ad they did for State of Play I thought was pretty good, because usually when they have people who are doing the voices of people playing the game, it's so fake. It's like, oh no, I just got back from, you know, the airport, and what? Shut up, Jaffe. What I'm saying is it feels fake. But they actually just had guys from the team they recorded, and it actually, you know, presented multiplayer co-op pretty well. But I still don't imagine. I can't imagine paying for that game. But we'll see. I think a lot of people buy those horror games secondhand from eBay. You're talking about like Alan Wake. Anyone have trouble sending milestone? I don't know. Jaffe, I'm praying every day for God of War Ascension multiplayer to get a remaster. Well, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think you'll see that, honestly. Okay. Anyway, that's what they announced as well. Okay. Dragon's Dogma. I haven't watched this yet. I'll watch this later, but I've never played the first Dragon's Dogma. This was announced a couple of months ago, I think, or last year at Keeley's show. But there's a 9-minute deep dive over on the Capcom website if you're interested in watching it. And I'm just so engaged right now with Baldur's Gate that a game like this, I'm just like, I'm sure it'll be great when I get around to it. And I don't even know when this is coming out, but people seem to be excited for this based on what they played in the first game. Okay. There's that dog of mine. Okay. Let me tell you something, Linda. Marvel Spider-Man ray tracing and 3D audio detailed by Sony. You guys know what I think of Marvel Spider-Man. People got all upset because I didn't. Oh, you should have seen the comments. You should have seen the cockadoodie comments. I mean, you can see them on the YouTube channel here. It was all. Oh, it was so disappointing, honestly. It was so disappointing. But that aside, though, I'm excited for this game. And I was very excited to hear that no matter the mode, performance mode or visual mode, you will get ray tracing. Because I don't know if I've ever played a game for more than a couple minutes with ray tracing. Then I turned it off because my PS5, I'd rather have it in gameplay mode. But I think that's pretty cool. That's impressive. But the most impressive thing is if you go over to the, I think it was a PlayStation blog, they talked about ray tracing, but they also talked about 3D audio. And I've really enjoyed 3D audio on Xbox. I cannot get it to work on my PlayStation, and I'm just going to invest in a new headset that does 3D audio. I was going to buy the Sony ones, but people say they're physically uncomfortable. But I really, you know, this is what they say. It says, Insomniac's audio team implements 3D audio in Spidey with impressive attention to detail. The immersive effects are omnipresent, but two specific sequences stood out. A massive church bell tolls during a sequence where a black-clad Spider-Man Peter squares off with Kraven. The resonant frequency of the bell hits with a convincing punch. If you don't know Spider-Man lore and Venom lore, the way that Spider-Man and all the heroes eventually realize they can beat Venom is with certain sonic frequencies, and it causes the alien parasite that is attached to the human, Eddie Brock or whoever it is in the game, to sort of go away. And so certainly and I've seen a battle, you guys might have seen it last week, where Kraven and Spidey are fighting in the church, and Spidey has the suit, the black suit, the Venom suit, and I'm sure that'll be cool with the audio, the 3D audio. He says another moment is more gameplay focused with the player crawling after Lizard through New York sewers. The claustrophobic sequence is highlighted or heightened by a 360-degree range of sounds, including creaking pipes, crumbling rubble, and the occasional skittering of the Lizard himself. So that was enough to say, fucking, I'm going to go get some 3D headsets. I don't have to be able to figure out how to make them work because none of them I've tried work so far. Orange says get some that support Dolby Atmos because I know they just added that to PS5, right? Awesome Tatum says the Pulse headset is great, but Sousa says I can confirm Jaffe uncomfortable as hell after 30 minutes. So I probably will pass on those because I've heard enough people say they're pretty uncomfortable. Brett Moore, thank you for being a member for 18 months. Cult of Calypso, sir. Hopefully you will be playing Payday with us this week. This is a test message, he says. I'll be pissed if it works this time. Well, there you go, baby. There you go. Okay, the End Zones headsets. Yeah, I'll probably reach out to the Discord and see what you guys think. Now, this is where we're going to get into sort of aging game designers, and then we'll talk about Square. But I want to bring this up because I know most people are not bothered by this. Most people celebrate this. Most people like this. This is not Spider-Man centric. It's just that Spider-Man is coming out soon, so there's a lot of news stories about it. Yes, says IGN, Spider-Man 2 has fall damage, but you can toggle it on and off. And I appreciate that the game director and the team at Insomniac have said our vision is to allow the user to have that option. And so it's the game developer sticking to their vision. Of course, I appreciate it. That's all I really care about. But I'm just going to point out again, it's not the first time I've said it. I'm going to point out again that I think we are giving up more control in the pursuit of accessibility at the expense of the art form. And again, Spider-Man is probably not the hill to die on with this because Spider-Man is big budget and it's for everybody. And if you're like a 5-year-old kid that loves Spidey, the last thing you want to do is, crash into the ground and die. And it's like, what the fuck? I killed Spider-Man. I get it. And so I don't have a problem with it. It seems more and more, oh, you don't like puzzles? Turn off the puzzles. Oh, you don't want combat? Not a problem. Turn off the combat. It's like, what are you? Is this McDonald's or a professional AAA game studio? As for Spider-Man fall damage not making sense, sure, it makes sense. How many comics has it been where Spider-Man's web shooters run out and he's falling and he's terrified because it'll kill him? He can't fall forever and take no damage. But again, as it relates to Spider-Man, I don't care because I it's their vision and I get it, but it does just start to feel a little bit like, mix your own and hopefully it'll be good. I'm like, no, I don't like that. But I'm 52, which leads into this discussion. Callisto Protocol developer striking distance loses Glenn Schofield, who was the director, founder of the studio, director of Dead Space 1, went off to work on Sledgehammer with Call of Duty. I picked up Callisto Protocol right here. And Ravenu says, Jaffe, how many times has Spider-Man died from falling? Never. But it doesn't mean there aren't plenty of stories in the comics where he's terrified of falling to his death. Anyway, so I haven't played it yet. I played the demo on PlayStation. I liked it a lot. I bought the game. Brett Moore says, why would you found a studio then leave after one game? It sounds like it wasn't his choice. This is a company, Crafton, I guess, who are the guys who do PUBG. And I don't get the sense because he left, the COO left, and maybe the CFO left. There was one other person who left. And you know, my guess is it wasn't a choice, really. And I wonder two things. I wonder, first off, if you played Callisto Protocol, and maybe they know this. Maybe there's, I don't know the behind the scenes. Maybe people were telling Glenn for over 2 years, dude, you got to work on the combat. This is not working. This dodge punch out thing. And now Crafton is saying we have a great team remaining that we kept. We have great tech. Let's now put a director that we think has a better insight into this. That could be possible. But here's why it's interesting to me. I've been, you know, and I'm older, right? I'm going on Colin's show tomorrow. I don't know what my topic is yet, but I think it has something to do with, you know, aging out of what the mainstream likes. And I really believe, if you remember Mikami talking, this is he was talking about Resident Evil, but he says he's talking about after 40, you realize how much energy is required when making a game. He thinks game creators hit their peak when they're in their 30s, which is when he was doing RE4. When you're young, he says you have a good sense of making things. Your energy, your heart, and stamina are better when you're young, but you lack experience. But when you gain experience, you become more efficient. However, your taste starts to fade away. So there's that sweet spot where you have both. And he says that's when most game designers, directors, do their best work. And I think there's truth there. And I look at someone like Glenn, who's around my age, maybe a little younger, a little older. And it doesn't mean you can't be an older dude making great games. The guy who directed Baldur's Gate is older than me. But I do think there is, it's a really weird thing when you think about it, because even when I do this show and I talk about things like Spider-Man falling or not, right? I mean, there's all these generations that have come after me where their own expectations of what a game is and what a game needs to be, and what is good game design and bad game design, all of that baggage, it's not bad, but it's baggage comes and expectations come with them. And I'm a guy who played games in the 70s and 80s and made games in the 90s and 2000s. And it does seem unrealistic that you would expect most people to be able to speak to the demographic of 18 to 34, which is the main group of people who play games. I'm not ageist, Weatherlau. I'm not saying, I know you're kidding, I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying that it makes sense why it's hard. Even if you look at, I was looking up Todd Howard because I was like, how old's Todd Howard? Now, you guys know I love Starfield. And he was the director, but he wasn't the lead designer writer. But, you know, I love this game. A big reason I love this game is because it speaks to the kid who was obsessed and loved space and sci-fi in the 70s and 80s. And it's so fascinating to watch people tear up this game. And yes, you have to assume a meaningful percentage of the people shitting on this game is the whole console war stupid shit, okay? But it is still sitting at like an 80-something on Metacritic. It's not going to be most people's game of the year. There are things fundamentally that are problematic about this game for people. And it's interesting that even I'm seeing people rip Todd Howard, who for the long, I know they used to rip him about, oh, he lies, this, that, and the other, but nobody ever really doubted his skill, his ability to connect with the audience for the games he was making. And it's so weird to see that guy being torn down. I'm fascinated with Ken Levine. Ken Levine's coming out with a game that looks really cool. We don't really know much about it, but it looks really cool. I wonder if he's going to be able to... Some people can navigate it. Kojima can navigate it a little bit. His games have never been massive anyway, but certainly at an interesting level, he can navigate it. But speaking of Kojima, I saw this that Cliff posted today. He says this is a picture of him and Kojima when they went to Japan, Cliff and his wife. And he says, here's me with Kojima, who encouraged me to try once more after Lawbreaker's Tank. Now, I'm not speaking to Cliff's ability to hang in there with what's culturally zeitgeisty or not. It's not about that. But, it does remind me when a lot of people ask me, they say, hey, Jaffe, you know, go make a game or whatever. I saw this, and then later in the day, I saw this. And I'm not going to, well, maybe I'll play it while we're talking. This was a green light video from, I don't know how many years ago, that we did for Twisted Metal 2012, right? And the reason and it was a mode we didn't get in the game, but we were working on it. And it was, at the time, it was called like Chase to Vegas or something, right? So this is all early footage. But it was one team had a semi-truck filled with nukes, and they were trying to get to Vegas and detonate it on the strip, and the other team was trying to stop them before they could pull that off. And I just loved this fucking mode. I loved what it was about. I loved the cinematic aspect, the action movie aspect of it. I loved the, you know, it was just the coolest fucking thing to me. And the game was filled with stuff like that. And I'm not complaining. I'm not looking for sympathy or anything like that. Same thing with Drawn to Death. There was stuff in Drawn to Death that, as somebody who was late 40s, early 50s, I thought was fucking cool. And then it came out and people were like, meh. At best, most people were meh. A lot of other people were like, oh my God, keep that away from me, right? So I really do think it's not about, do you still have passion or do you still have creativity? It's just about, you know, I thought the audience would love this. And yeah, we had internet problems and stuff. But, you know, it didn't really show up. It's like at a 74, 75 Metacritic. I thought this was probably the best game design that I ever did. And so it's just, you know, it may be more interesting to me than you guys because I'm going through it, but there's kind of it's just interesting. It's interesting to see a lot of these other guys who were in their prime when I was in my prime also kind of struggling to connect. And maybe that makes sense. How can you connect when you're aged out of the people you're trying to connect with? Question is, does the industry have the passion? I don't know. The industry in general? Stonerface says trends change. Look at what movies were popular 30 years ago. Right. I mean, look at Steven fucking Spielberg. Steven fucking Spielberg can barely get arrested. I mean, he can get a movie funded, but that man has not had a hit movie in ages. He put out, you know, what was his last movie? The Fablemans, which, you know, no, I liked it because I love Spielberg, but that, and then, West Side Story, and he did that movie called The Paper about the Washington Post, and he did the BFG. This was the guy that used to be able to put shit in theaters, and almost anything that had his name on it, it blew his fucking mind. Or in terms of box office. No, The Fablemans did not do well at all. It was a massive flop. I get it, says Colors of Gaming. I overheard 2 younger coworkers say Zelda's before Breath of the Wild were awful. Isn't that something? I mean, it's just, you know, it's the way of the world. It's the fucking way of the world, man. And so, it's got me thinking a lot about it. Ready Player One didn't do that well. It did great in China. But apparently, you know, everywhere else it was like, you know, made 180 million. It made its money back. But it wasn't a Spielberg hit. It wasn't like E.T., Jurassic Park, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Close Encounters, Jaws, Back to the Future, on and on. I mean, on and on and on. So it's just, it's really interesting. And it's interesting to watch it happen to other people as well. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. War of the Worlds was his last big hit. I think you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Okay. What's this? Whatever. People can get mad if I talk about it. I'm going to talk about it, whatever. Right. Hangry Dad says Spielberg just doesn't want to make movies like that anymore. I get it. And he shouldn't have to, and he doesn't have to. But I'm just saying, it's crazy that, you know, you would think, though, that an older audience would be flocking to movies like Munich and The Paper, but they're not. Even Crystal Skull did better. Yeah, Crystal Skull was a huge hit. Crystal Skull was the best selling or whatever, best money making Indiana Jones ever. It was a terrible movie, though. You guys saw this, right? Xbox makes more money in profit than PlayStation, and Nintendo makes more money than both of them combined. So, that was interesting. I mean, again, people are saying some of this has to do with launching PSVR 2, which is incredibly stupid. I don't know why they did that, but, you know, again, if this really hit them that hard, what the fuck? So I'm sure that plays a part. But it is still surprising to see Microsoft making $1.5 billion in profit across their video games. Isn't that something? Isn't that weird? But I bet PlayStation next year will be a lot higher, probably because they got the cost down of the hardware. They're not launching anything, I don't think. So I don't know why this makes PlayStation fanboys mad, Masochista. Because this is from the leak. This is from the FTC leak. Because as much as I will criticize PlayStation, they, maybe other than Nintendo, are the best game makers on the planet when it comes to the kind of games their audience love. So even though Xbox might be making a little more money, and we don't really know the how and why of all this, yeah, but they're still, these guys have never made a game at the production level, which is what these guys seem to care about, of PlayStation. So I don't know what they'd be upset about. No, it's not based off information in the leak, Chris Coleman, because this is actually based on Microsoft put a graph or a what's called spreadsheet, and that was printed out, and then that was put in here. And I'm assuming, so you can see that in the leak. This may have been done by someone else, but all of this, my understanding, is based on data from the leak. And it says source, company filings, FTC versus Microsoft. So maybe the company filings is where they were getting these two numbers from. But it wasn't just him speculating. It was based on those numbers. Read the fine print at the top. In millions revenue and profit, PlayStation net revenues and operating, Nintendo net income. What am I looking for? Neo Red says, thank you for the super chat. He says, have you heard anything about Mark Zuckerberg funding virtual blood cells? I'm still waiting on Legend of Dragoon remake. No, I know nothing about virtual blood cells. I have not heard anything, but I will look into it because we're doing an I Love the Weird episode this Saturday. That might be fun to talk about. Legend of Dragoon, I guess you just keep waiting. You and the guy who's waiting for Ascension hang out together, but I don't think either one of those is going to happen. So Microsoft only showed margin account. Look, here's what Microsoft showed, right? Let me do this for you.
Well, let me tell you this, Linda.
Hang on now. Xbox leak, revenue leak, maybe. So if you look at here, you can see this is what I'm talking about. This was what was actually leaked out, and this is what was used to build that graph. What I don't know is, it sounds like the Sony stuff and the Nintendo stuff, Chris says they use different comparison of information. PlayStation net revenues and operating income, Nintendo net sales and net income, Xbox revenues and accountability margin. Ultimately, though, the profit in revenue is non-debatable, though, right? I mean, that's all filed as a public company. I mean, we know what they made in revenue that year. But anyway, whatever. I'm not a finance guy. If you guys are saying it's not accurate, cool. Derek Strickland took it down because it was wrong. Well, here's what's not wrong. Xbox content and services, there's a margin for error, total revenue. At the end of the year, content and services will have made $14.4 billion. Okay, that's accurate. That was submitted to the FTC. So if you are saying that there is data to show that Sony or Nintendo made a different amount, Cool. What is that? What is that number? But that number, unless they lied to the FTC, is accurate. So here's what it is. Everybody's making a lot of money. That's the nice thing. A lot of money. That's the nice thing. Hey, check it out. Check this shit out. Right, lower. Gavin says lower operating cost. Right. Well, of course, A, they're not launching new hardware, and B, you know, if I was a Sony fanboy, I wouldn't get upset. I'd say, well, of course they made more money because they spent less money because their games, you know, were made with Roblox. They weren't, but I mean, you know, isn't that fun? Okay. Modern Warfare 3. I don't know why this is a surprise. It's like they might be getting no Russian. No, Modern Warfare 3 had the whole ESRB rated. And they said, hey, if you're worried about the game, here's what's in the game, right? And they said it's got a handful of sequences to pick more intense acts of violence, terrorists taking over an airplane, terrorists dressed as cops and paramedics shooting, killing, fleeing civilians inside a stadium concourse, airline passengers getting shot on a plane, prisoners shot in a cell. And if you watch the trailer, it even says no Russian. So I'm assuming it's coming back. What's funny is, I don't think it's, I mean, unless it's just done so differently, given the landscape today, I don't think it's going to make no one's going to talk about it or even care. But that came out. This came out. Look at this. Call of Duty gets them. This is season 6 starts today, tomorrow. It's spread out throughout the month though. Ash Williams, Spawn, Skeletor. Seen these? These are great. You get a bunch of Spawn skins. There's, you know, you get Al Simmons to begin with. So it's kind of shitty. It's like, if you want to buy Spawn and you don't know the lore, you're kind of like, who the fuck is Al Simmons? Al Simmons is Spawn before he becomes Spawn. And then I guess over time you can, you know, if you have the battle pass, you can kind of upgrade them. They have the clown, the creepy clown, which is awesome. So these are all pretty cool. These are all pretty fucking cool. And again, you've got Diablo skins coming, Skeletor, which I got to get, Ash, and then you got this guy from Helsing, the anime, right? Modern Warfare 3 is not DLC. No, it's not. But what does that matter? I don't understand. What I am curious about, though, is I know a lot of the things from Modern Warfare 2 carry over to Modern Warfare 3. I don't know if the levels, because Modern Warfare 2 has some fucking great levels, and I hope a lot of the levels, or all the levels, carry over. But this is not that. This is Season 6, so it starts on September 27th, and it spreads out throughout Halloween. The Halloween stuff sounds great. You know, it's not just, there's like a Warzone extraction mode, but you've got to like kill a bunch of monsters that have come up from hell and put them back in the hole. I love all of this shit. I love when you have Halloween, all of it, Halloween, Christmas, all the, you know, Valentine's. I love holidays in video games. And this one and one other one, which is one of my favorite games of all time, was announced today for Halloween stuff. So this is coming out. I will be playing it with my $750 worth of Call of Duty tokens that have accidentally been put on my account. And then, yeah, look at that. There's Spawn. I guess Mute Mo will be getting that. He's a big Spawn fan. And then, yeah, they've got a bunch of stuff. And I know a lot of you guys aren't into Call of Duty. I love it. This last one just really made me a fan. Operation Nightmares Go coming at mid-season. Investigate eldritch anomalies across the map and face a host of monstrous targets as you gradually clear a bounty board of otherworldly terrors. Uncontained zombie outbreaks, lights in the sky, holes to hell that Spawn comes out of. It's pretty fucking cool. I'm totally fucking in. I did get a refund, Sousa, on the $750. But the money is still, the fake money, the virtual money is still in my account. And I called Sony and said, what do I do with this? And they're like, call Activision. I'm like, no, I'm not complaining. Can I use it? And they don't know. Marvel Snap announced their Halloween stuff. If you love Marvel Snap like I do, you're going to be excited. It's Halloween stuff. How can you not love Halloween themed Marvel? You got Ella Bloodstone is coming. You got a bunch of new cards this month in this season. It'll be 11 days from now. You got Ella. You got Man-Thing, whose power sounds shit, but I still think he's cool. Black Knight sounds the best. After you discard a card, add the Ebony Blade to your hand with that card's power. So you could discard a real powerful fucking card and you get the Ebony Blade that has that power. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. Werewolf by Night is coming. I love this game, and I love these characters so much. And then obviously you got probably some new levels, and you've got new things to unlock, blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking forward to it. Oh, you've also got zombie, there's some zombie skins for cards. Where's that one? You've got like the squirrel. There's a squirrel zombie, which is fucking awesome. There it is. And Squirrel Girl is a zombie. I hope there are more zombies, but come on now. That's pretty good. That's pretty fucking good. Look at that thing. Oh, I love this game so much. I love this game so much. Okay. I'm going to meditate for about 5 seconds, about 30 seconds, get my head in the game. And then we're going to come back. In fact, you know what? We're going to take a small little break, like 3 minutes. I'm going to come back and we are going to talk all about Square. You must have heard this. The CEO of Square, basically in a investor's call, was like, hey, what do we do? Do we have any games that can make, or any IP that we can turn into AAA games? Because we're hurting. Final Fantasy didn't deliver financially for us. And, you know, obviously all the games they had that were Western themed, like Forspoken, didn't deliver for them. What are we doing, fellas? What are we doing? And so we're going to go through some of the properties Square has right after the break, and we're going to talk about things we think they should do. And then I'll send a video to the Square CEO and say, hey, do this. Okay, but this will be on the other side of the break. In the meantime, I want to remind you, of course, lost my audio. Sorry. What I was saying is the break is brought to you by Rotten Tanuki's Day One Patch Kids, the best little fucking characters in the world. They're nasty and gruesome and funny. They're Cabbage Pail Kids meets video game characters, and you can get them on cups and mugs and shower curtains and t-shirts and sweatshirts and underwear and all kinds of things. I'm going to let that roll while I play the best song of the day, and then I'll be back in 3 minutes, and we will get into the Square conversation. Shane, no, Deus Ex got sent to Embracer, right? All right, I'll be right back.
you? You're just normal, man. Just innocent, man.
Oh, you didn't even hear that. I was doing the whole thing. Welcome back. Welcome back. Mr. Rob, you're too fat to wear the shirts. They come in all sizes. They're not just, for skinny fuckers. How's things going, fellas? We're welcome back to the second part of the show. We're going to jump into the Square conversation right off the bat. So here's what's going on. There's a new president. Square's not doing so well. Final Fantasy 16 shat the bed. People liked it. I played the demo. I thought it was a good demo, but comparatively speaking, there were too many other things that were way better. Like if somebody were to say, do you want to play more Final Fantasy or do you want to play more Baldur's Gate? I'd be like, oh, Baldur's Gate, a heartbeat, right? And so in one of the calls that they were talking to the president, one of the financial calls, and he basically said, we want to look at our IP. He says, here's a quote from him. He says, in addition to improving our profitability, quote, in addition, rather than solely attempting to create brand new IPs, we intend to take a nuanced approach to investment whereby we also identify existing IPs with the potential to be upgraded to AAA status, taking ROI into account as well. In so doing, we hope to establish a greater depth to the layers of our portfolio. Now, the ROI thing's weird because most people, we just hear AAA, so I don't know if he's talking about AAA on mobile, but let's, for the sake of this hypothetical exercise, let's assume we're talking about AAA as AAA, like console, whatnot. Now, I got to tell you, when I was at Sony, even before PlayStation and right around PlayStation, before Final Fantasy VII came out, Square was just ruled the roost in Japan. I mean, everybody, prayed at the altar of Square. It was before they were Square Enix. And when Final Fantasy came out, there was like holidays almost. It was in Japan. It was a big fucking deal. It was a big cultural deal. And then obviously things shift. I mean, obviously Final Fantasy VII was huge and on and on and on. I don't think they ever really got back to that sweet spot post Final Fantasy VII, maybe 8. And in Japan, as everybody moved to mobile, the console market got smaller and smaller, and, here we are, okay? So here's what I would say, and again, I want to hear what you have to say as well, but let me if you go through all of the IP they have, and they have a lot, here's what I would do if I was Square, okay? Number one, get somebody new in marketing, because your biggest audience, at least if you're talking console games and PC games, is not going to be Japan, okay? Everything from you guys naming your games in a way that is just stupid and not market friendly, like Final Fantasy X2 and Kingdom Hearts 2 HD 2.5 remix, right? That's a problem. It's also a problem, I hate to say it, I hate to sound like a fucking mouth-breathing dumb American, Roman numerals are a problem. Most people don't fucking know Roman numerals. I mean, they know them, but they're like, wait, is that 16? What? Why? All of their titles are so stupid. Triangle strategy, or whatever that fucking thing was called, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. Right? So number one, just that'll help you a little bit. When you say seriously, yes, seriously. Absolutely seriously. You put Final Fantasy XX V11, and I know what it is, but I have to stop and think about it. A lot of people are like, I don't know it's just it distances you from your market. Okay, that's number one. But the bigger thing is, what IP do they have? Okay, well, here's what I would do. This is my plan. You tell me what you think, and then let me know your plan. I think they need to basically say, Parasite Eve, do not remake it. Don't remaster it. Take the brand, take the narrative or the rough narrative, which is just this hot female police officer fighting demonic things or whatever, if I remember correctly, and make that your Resident Evil. Look at RE2 as a roadmap, RE3, RE4, rip that off, do it with Parasite Eve. It doesn't have to be, don't make it turn-based, make it that. That would be number one. Number two, if I was Square and I was looking for IP I had that's valuable, I would take Chrono Trigger, which is great. I would bring in some new writers to kind of flesh it out and give it a lot more, give it a lot more depth and character and a little bit more updated and longer. And I would remake that like a Baldur's Gate. Maybe not as hardcore as Baldur's Gate, but I would remake it where you can go down and zoom on the characters and pull up to an isometric view, and I would keep it turn-based, but I would grow Chrono Trigger. Some of you guys are saying they lost the rights to Parasite Eve. Okay, then get it back. Okay, so forget Persona, or not Persona, forget Parasite Eve. Some of the best characters they have are the characters from 7. They're well designed, they're memorable, they're beloved. If you look at Tifa, if you look at Cloud, especially those two, there's no reason you can't take Tifa and make don't even call it Final Fantasy. Put her in a fucking horror game. Do horror fantasy, but make it like a Resident Evil, right? Don't keep doing a lot of this fucking hardcore RPG shit. Do it for Dragon Quest, keep it for 1 or 2 of your things, and that's it. That's what I would say. Number 2, take some of these great characters and put them in something different. I would also say, this is, by the way, if you're a Square fan, you're going to hate all these ideas, but Square's shit in the bed. So, sorry, you had your chance, you didn't buy their shit. Now they're trying to go, what do we do? Final Fantasy needs to go away, and they need to reboot the whole fucking thing, okay? I get it. For a time, Final Fantasy was big enough that every single one of them could be unique, and sometimes they were about the same thing, but usually it was a whole new universe. Just fucking stop it. Just fucking stop it. Nobody knows what it is anymore except the hardcore fans, right? Keep the chockaboos and keep some of the key things. Maybe you do it in Cloud's universe, and that is called Final Fantasy. And make that... if it were me, I would look at making that like God of War. I would take Cloud and I would make him their Kratos, and I would do a God of War style game. I would not do, and I'm sorry, I think the combat is so beautiful and so cool, and so nice to watch, but it feels so frantic and hyper that I think a lot of people just go like, what the fuck is this? It's just, I would make God of War. I would make God of War. With Cloud is what I would do. Last couple things. Kingdom Hearts is so fucking stupid. Okay. Kingdom Hearts is a cash cow waiting to happen. And it's already been a cash cow, but nobody cares if you're talking AAA about the Square characters it's not like Marvel versus Capcom, right? You have got the Disney RPG, and you can make it a little more adult. Fucking stop making it so inaccessible. Stop with these crazy fucking titles. Stop with these crazy fucking systems, and make a fucking mainstream action RPG out of Kingdom Hearts where it's not all this just bullshit, weird story shit. Tell a fucking story that your average person can understand. It's just crazy how they just don't understand what the market is going to respond to. And then there was one other one I would take that I think they could do something with. I know the character in Automata is great, whatever her name is. I haven't played the whole game. It's not my cup of tea. I think she's a great character. I think there's a lot they could do with that character beyond a game that is. I mean, that's the thing, right? They're talking about, oh, we want to get in. What can we do for AAA? And it's like, maybe the number one thing is hire a new director of design and stop making all this quirky as fuck, weird fucking play mechanics that I know your hardcore RPG fans love, but it's a turnoff to a lot of fucking people. So that's what I would do. Maybe the story on Kingdom Hearts says Acromonum is so convoluted because Disney's guidelines. I don't know. Disney's pretty good fucking storyteller though. So I'm surprised that it would be coming from them. But let me see. Okay, Octopath Traveler, no. Nobody, no. What is it? It's 8 characters and it hasn't wormed its way into the zeitgeist. No. Don't, just leave it alone. Leave that one alone. Leave Bravely Default alone. Leave Vagrant Hearts alone. I'm not saying they don't have value, but if you're trying to get into I'm sure Vagrant Story was great. Take what was great about it and put it into a brand that is a lot more commercial. The last and current CEO were all on board with NFTs. They're blind with greed, says Brett Moore. I'm sure they are. A lot of companies are. But that still doesn't explain this litany of console games they've put out that are just really missing the mark time and time again. And obviously leave Dragon Quest, give people the traditional RPG they love, but kind of, reboot a bunch of this stuff. This is, I mean, who does anybody give a fuck about Final Fantasy anymore out of a small hardcore group? I just don't think they do. And I know in the chat somebody was saying, well, Jaffe, they said it was in line with sales. Maybe it was, but the fact is he was on a finance call saying, we have to do better. We have to make more money. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to look at our properties and go, how do we make AAA games? Yes, nobody cares about Octopath Traveler. Somebody's like, what? No, nobody cares. If we're talking AAA, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to things that you like. Ravno says, LOL, Octopath. See, this is why it's hard to have these conversations. I'm not saying your taste is bad because you like Octopath Traveler 2. I'm not saying you're not right that Vagrant Hearts is a great story and a great game. I'm trying to simply address the quote of the Square CEO where he says, I want to improve our profitability. I see ample room for improvement in our operating margin and would also like to start working primarily on our HD games, which I assume is console. In addition, we intend to take a nuanced approach where we take existing IP that have the potential to be upgraded to AAA, taking return on investment into account, which no shit. In so doing, we hope to establish. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm sorry, but you cannot mount a defense of Octopath or Vagrant Hearts or even Nier Automata and say that those games, if they just made them with better graphics and if they just pushed them a little harder in marketing, the doors of acceptability amongst the masses would open up at the level that they need to open up to make the money they need to make to get this CEO's quote to become true. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm fucking saying. Yeah, Ghetto God says, I've never played any of those games. Yeah, most people haven't. Deddy says, it's true and it's too bad because Octopath is a great modern spiritual successor to old school Final Fantasy. Right. I'm not knocking it. Not knocking it. Honestly, says ZZ, I have no idea how Octopath works. I played a few minutes in Game Pass, then uninstalled it due to a very confusing storyline with the mechanics. I played about 2 or 3 hours on Game Pass and I uninstalled it as well. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that this is what they do. It's almost like don't you guys at Square see that? Don't you see that some of these games take way too long to start? Don't you see that these titles are confusing for a Western audience? What are you doing? Now, they do have Foam Stars coming. And Foam Stars, I think at the end of this month is going to be in an open beta or alpha, whatever they're calling it, on PlayStation. And I hear that's great. That could actually be what pulls them out of the doldrums. I don't know. Yeah, Awesome says, I think Octopath works well within a niche audience, but it will never be a system seller, right? I think they are trying to be more like Western Studios, says Brett. If they embrace their roots with the JRPG and turn-based combat, they would do better. Well, they've done that. I mean, how can you argue they're not doing that with Octopath Traveler and with what's the other one we were talking about? Some Tactics Ogre Reborn, and which did okay, Star Ocean. A lot of their stuff is classic RPG. And I like turn-based, but even if you're right though, even if they focus on that, I don't think they can focus on that with the budget that it sounds like he said they want to invest in their HD games. So I'm assuming that's console. I think just a traditional JRPG that's updated for, I mean, look, what is that game that just came out? Sea of Stars or whatever, not from Square. Great game. I haven't played all of it yet, but what I played, I really enjoyed. But that's basically what you're talking about, right? It's a kind of a traditional, 16-bit Square classic RPG, and it's great, and people love it, but it's not like setting the world on fire. I've been having more fun with Retrocade, MK2, MC, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, says Drew Dog, and Vampire Survivors than anything else currently. Yeah, but I don't think that's a trend. I mean, I think people go through that. A lot of times you just want to play something that, is either just instantly fun, like Vampire, or nostalgia. But I mean, I think if you look at games are selling better than they ever had. Legend says, when Parasite Eve came back as Third Birthday, the shooting was bad. The Final Fantasy Battle Royale had bad shooting too, and that shooting RPG on PS3, something Renaissance. I don't even remember it. Yeah, Rocket Arena was dead on arrival. You think Foam Stars will follow? All I can tell you is everybody who has played it at Keeley's Summer Game Fest said it's just great. It's really, really fucking fun. So I'm excited to give it a try, but yeah, it may not work. It may not sell. I did play F-Zero 99. I liked it. It's not enough to bring me back after I played for a handful of races, but I thought it was fun. Shane says, I never played Final Fantasy until 16. The story was amazing, insane production value. 16 is the recent one, right? Get rid of the semi-open world bullshit, and it would have been better received. I don't know. I mean, I played through the demo. I enjoyed it. I think it was just kind of an also-ran compared to what else was on the market. Like the story, maybe the story gets great, but the story of like the brother and they're both these monsters, and it just felt very wannabe Game of Thrones with some dragons, bigger dragons or monsters and titans or whatever they called them. Again, it could be awesome, but it just felt, compared to like playing Baldur's Gate, which I think was released roughly around the same time, if you don't count early access. No, I can't imagine people choosing that over the other one. As for the remake trailer, or remake and rebirth, the new trailer looks great for Final Fantasy VII. But I heard people in the chat are saying that Final Fantasy remake, if that was what the first one was, wasn't very good. RPGs, says Casual Noob, thank you for the super chat, buddy, aren't traditionally going to sell God of War numbers. I at this point, Casual Noob, RPGs are so, it's hard to define what one is, right? So if you're saying games that have RPG elements, they do sell God of War numbers, like God of War. But if you're saying a traditional RPG, like a really high-res version of Sea of Stars, I agree. That's why I think like they should do a cloud game and make it their God of War. That's why I think they should do a Chrono Trigger game and do it like Baldur's Gate. I mean, turn-based is always going to hit you, and you can decide whether or not you want it to be action RPG or an actual turn-based RPG. But yeah, I mean, they've got to. It seems like they're just really stuck in this old model of what they did well, and they seem to be struggling to get the fuck out of there. So, all right, well, we will find out. We'll see what happens. They've been shitting the bed a lot lately. So, Baldur's Gate 3 will likely not hit 20 million or even close. Yeah, I wonder how much it sold so far. Does anybody know? Let's see. I'm curious. Sales. Baldur's Gate 3 sales. Let's see. Baldur's Gate 3 is getting close to 10 million sales on Steam. And that's just Steam. So you may be wrong. That was 3 days ago. Baldur's Gate 3, that's right. That's the one I need to get into. It's phenomenal. It's a fucking phenomenal game. Thoughts on Sony buying Square, Scott says. Assuming it were to happen, I mean, again, I don't know what they would be buying at this point, right? Are they buying the Square of today that just wants to keep making these RPGs because they think they need to be in the mobile space and maybe they do well on mobile? Okay, I don't know enough about that, but I certainly know that Sony needs to get on the ball when it comes to their mobile content. But as it relates to console games, you know, do you need... If you're Sony, do you need to reinvent Final Fantasy the way I'm suggesting? And if you don't, what do you do with it? So I struggle with that one. I don't know if that's a great purchase. I agree with Mr. Orange. Probably not. Harkins, I loved the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer. I thought it was fantastic looking. It looked great. It looked fucking great. I don't know what it is, and people tell me the other one wasn't good, but it looked awesome. Okay, listen to this. I just want to tell you, well, we're going to wrap this up, but I want to tell you about this. This is fascinating to me. So video game addiction is defined as, you know, people play video games mostly historically, scientific studies have come out. It's good for you. Makes you smarter, makes you brighter, makes you more social. But if you have addiction or you have what's called gaming disorder or problematic play or something, there are a couple of words that psychologists use. It can lead to some really bad shit, right? And there's a study that was done. There's 3,000 people, about 2,600 men, 400 women, all around 18 to 25. And I just thought some of the results were really interesting. This was a study, just so you know. I can put a link if you'd like it. Here's a link to the study. There you go. This study was done by, because I want to tell you what kind of people play RPGs, if you're curious. It's called the Association Between Video Gaming and Psychological Functioning. It was done Spain, Portugal. No, it's edited by them. I'm trying to figure out who did it. It was a very big group. Here we go. Germany, Department of Psychology and Department of Psychosomatic Medicine, both of them in Germany. Okay. So listen to this. First, I will tell you, they broke up the game genres into simulation, strategy, action, role-playing, and unclassified. You can say you're on the edge of your seat, but this is fascinating stuff, totally, Ted. And then they says, well, what kind of things, if you play too many games, like what do we want to look at? How about substance use, drugs, simulation, strategy, action, role-playing? Who do you think plays more or does more drugs based on what they play? I'll just tell you. If you do simulation games, you don't even rate 0. Strategy games is the second most, but the most is action. If you play action games, you tend to, and you play them and you are addicted to games, you'll use drugs more. Listen to this one, though. Planning. Listen to this one. This is brilliant. Planning. So this is good. Some of these are good coping skills. Or like, what about our patients who have come in and they're really good at coping with their shit in their lives, right? Do they play simulation, strategy, action, role playing? This one is, easy. Role playing, simulation, in action, role playing, and simulation barely make a mark. The vast majority of people who cope well with planning in their lives are people who play strategy games. The people who are the most lonely, what do you think they play? Simulation, strategy, action, or role playing? If you're really lonely, and it's the same for being shy. Brett Moore has it. That's right. Role-playing games by a vast jump. If you're shy and lonely, you'll tend to play those kinds of games. Same with preference for solitude. Who do you think's most satisfied with their lives? People who play simulation, action, role-playing, or strategy. It's amazing. It's surprising. But it's the RPG people. Last one I'll tell you. Tell me about this one. I don't understand some of these. Oh, how about this one? Grade point average. Who has the higher grades in school? People who play simulation, strategy, action games like shooters, or RPGs. This one's fascinating. The vast majority of people play action games have the best grades. I would not imagine that. I would not assume that would be the case. I'll give you a couple more. These stats, like I said, I linked it in the thing, so if you're interested in going deep into this, you can look. It's pretty cool. This is telling you why people who have certain kinds of video game addiction will play games, right? So if you are a guy or a girl who abuses the dope, you tend to play... Here are the reasons they asked, why do you play games? Amusement, distraction, the story, relaxing, imagination, real-life social, online social. If you're a guy who abuses the dope, you play games because you want to be distracted. If you if you're positive in general, you play games. Most people play games for two reasons that are positive. Real life helps their real life, and distraction. If you're lonely or shy, it's distraction. That's kind of the number one. If you have low self-esteem, it's almost like most of these people are like, my life sucks, I want to escape. That one's pretty clear. I think the other one's a little bit more interesting, where it's like, this is the genre you play. But then I love stuff like that. It's pretty fucking cool. All right, fellas, it's late. 7 o'clock here in San Diego. You never heard? I didn't say video games were dope. I said if you're doing the dope. Man, come on now. Listen, that's Gabbing Games for Thursday. Now listen, I want to tell you something real quick. Saturday is another episode live. I don't know if we're doing a I Love the Weird or a proper Gabbing Games. It kind of depends if there's a lot of game news. If there's not, I have a I Love the Weird in the chamber ready to fire. Don't forget, coming up Monday, we have game night for members, 4 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be doing Party Animals, Payday 3, and Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 on the PS5, and the other two, if there's crossplay, great. If not, I'll be on Xbox. And then obviously this is going to go behind the paywall, but it'll be available for free for anybody who wants to watch it, who's not a member, coming up on Saturday. But in the meantime, be well, you all knuckleheads. And don't forget, never forget, the 21st of September. I'll see you soon.
I'm gonna slit somebody open with like a dish and drink their blood. Daddy, chill.
That's a huge bitch! God damn it, Maverick!
I can't help but be racist. It's true. My view of the world is different because I'm a white man.
You're a fucking moron.